From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
I received a message you called. This is Roy Underwood.
Oh, yes, Mr. Underwood. I've been hired by the Plymouth Insurance Company to look into the jewelry you reported stolen.
That's what the message said.
Light will do it to me every time.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
I received a message you called. This is Roy Underwood.
Oh, yes, Mr. Underwood. I've been hired by the Plymouth Insurance Company to look into the jewelry you reported stolen.
That's what the message said.
I wondered when I could see you, find out if you have any idea who stole it.
I'll be in my apartment for the rest of the night, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. I know who stole it, and I think I know where you can find her.
Ah, you make it sound very simple, Mr. Underwood. I'll see you after dinner. Say 8:30.
Edmund O'Brien in a transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Plymouth Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Virginia Towne matter. Expense account item 1, $20, transportation and incidentals between Hartford and the Hotel Bentley, New York City. I contacted the policyholder, Roy Underwood, and at 8:45 that first night I arrived at the 63rd Street apartment. The meeting was not in private.
We can go in the study.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have interrupted you tonight, huh?
Oh, won't take long. I'll be right back. A little business.
But what am I going to do with him? He just sits there with that character and ignores me.
Oh, sure, Ellie, sure. I'll talk to you about it in a minute. Now, excuse me.
He just sits there.
I hope you'll pardon my not introducing her to you.
I will.
Gets a little out of hand sometimes. Here. There's whiskey on the table if you want it.
No, thanks. This jewelry you reported stolen. I have a description. Will you look at it? Tell me if it's right.
Yeah. Yes, this is correct. They were stolen by a woman named Virginia Towne.
You're sure of that?
Oh, yes, I'm sure of it. She was here at a party, very much like this one. I saw her leave with them.
You didn't try to stop her?
Of course I did. It's not my responsibility to place the thief under arrest.
Did you notify the police?
No, I was going to, but I thought better of it next morning. I wanted to give her a chance to think twice, too. If she bring him back, I won't swear out a complaint.
The pieces are all women's jewelry. 2 bracelets and 3 rings.
Yes, I buy odd pieces when I can, at a reasonable price.
How did she manage to get hold of them?
They were in my dresser drawer. She put them on. I told her to take them off. She refused and left.
Uh-huh. You mentioned on the phone that you thought you knew where I could find this Virginia Towne.
Well, I'm not sure, you understand. I tried to phone her at her apartment, but she'd moved out. Then I called her closest friend, a girl called Frances Adams. She said she didn't know where Virginia was, but